Hello and welcome to Frost Over the World. Later in the programme, South Africa's football captain looks forward to the World Cup. The exciting and unpredictable election campaign here in the UK, and Russia's troubled relationship at the moment with the rest of the world. But first, today, Iraq. It's now over a month since Iraqis voted in nationwide parliamentary elections, but the country still doesn't have a new government yet. The power vacuum is threatening Iraq's security situation. This week, Baghdad was rocked by a series of suicide attacks that left scores dead. So what is happening behind the scenes as Iraq's politicians scramble to find sufficient allies to form a government? Well, I'm joined right now from Baghdad by the winner of the recent election and Iraq's prime minister back in 2004 to 2005. The name you will be familiar with, it is, of course, Iyad Allawi, currently the head in the race for the premiership. It's a great joy to be talking with you, Iyad, particularly at this time, roughly 1 month after the election. And do you feel that things have moved closer to a resolution, an agreement between whoever is going to be the ruling parties? Has there been progress in the month or not?
Well, unfortunately, we are still waiting for the official results. The results already are with the Supreme Court, and it should be authorized, I think, within a week or 8 days. So currently, all the discussions are focused on dialogue and trying to find a way to unify the various groups that have won in the elections. But this will be moving into a proper negotiations once the results are announced. According to the Constitution, David, it is now our list that have to spearhead the effort to form a government. And this is what we will be working on once the announcement officially is made by the Supreme Court, hopefully within a week or 10 days from now.
And so that week or 10 days is a clear target that you've made that a deadline, if possible.
Yes, I think we already are talking to our Kurdish friends, we are talking to others, but we are waiting for the official results to be announced after people have expressed grievances on the elections. So all is with the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will announce. I don't think there is going to be a change, definitely, in the results. However, we need to get the results officially certified and announced, and then all will move into a negotiation process to get a working government in place, hopefully.
Well, that's very clear you put it there. And so in that situation, would you say that Nouri al-Maliki is your closest rival at the moment, or perhaps your closest ally? How would you describe his role at the moment?
Well, it could be both, frankly speaking. We need to work with the winning groups. We need also to work with the guys who did not win or got the same amount of seats in the new parliament. We see that the government should be an inclusive government. But however, this inclusive government should be able to function. It should be a functioning government, an inclusive government, a government that can provide the security services and improve the economy. As you know, this is very important because the drawdown of the American forces will start by next autumn. So it is very important to have a functioning government, and an inclusive one as much as possible.
And so what is the way to make progress at this moment in time then? Is it two different parties getting together, all parties getting together, one party getting together on its own? I mean, what's the way to make progress now, do you think?
Now it's bilateral discussions and negotiations and dialogue rather than a focused one. Everybody is agreed now on the importance of expediting the formation of the government, so there is no vacuum. Secondly, everybody is agreeable on an inclusive kind of government, as inclusive as possible. And indeed, thirdly, everybody now do see the merits in having a functioning government, a government that can function. It's not an inclusive government, this is not enough, but a government that may be inclusive, but at the same time can perform what it has to perform for this country. And those are the parameters which are now agreed upon, and unfortunately the situation, as you can see it, David, with the explosions and violence, which is trying to impede and disturb the political process, is casting more pressure on the various groups to work and expedite the formation of such a government.
And what in that situation are the compromises that you think that, for instance, your own party or your rivals, what are the key compromises that are going to have to be made by somebody?
I think the compromises really should start with the negotiations. What we need to see is that there is a success for the political process. There is a victory for the democracy as much as we can. I think we ought to look at what we can do to Iraq. We need to address the issue of security, and this should be in capable hands. We need to restructure our security forces. I think everybody now acknowledges this fact, that the current security of the institutions are not ready to face the threats that are facing us in Iraq, and it needs to be more active, more structured to be able to face and shoulder the responsibility. I believe that there would be compromises along the line of security and on the formation and on the major positions in the country. We are trying now to find other substitutes where people can be and should be involved, because we are still, as we see it, all of us, we are still transitioning. And definitely this year is going to be a focus for the transition of getting the American forces starting the drawdown and getting the Iraqi forces to replace the American forces and securing this country. So everybody, I think, is ready for compromises, David.
Well, obviously compromises are going to be essential. In terms of the American forces leaving the country, when would you like that process to be complete?
You know, according to the agreement, the so-called SOFA agreement, they should start reducing by October. I think they are going to go down, the drawdown will start by the end of next year. Combat forces should be out of the country. I think, frankly, we should stick to this timetable. But in parallel, we should expedite the readiness of the armed forces and the security forces to be able to shoulder this responsibility. And I think one of the issues that needs to be addressed immediately by the new government is how to restructure the army and the security to be based on a professionalism rather than a sectarian force. And I think this is becoming a must now, and I think this should be one of the most important tasks of the new government.
And obviously the progress, the pace of progress is essential. When would you hope there to be a government formally in place, in officialdom, in the centre of the country?
Yeah, I think we are looking at about 2 months plus minus, because in about a week or 10 days there will be an announcement of the certifying and announcing the results officially. 2 weeks later, the Parliament should meet, and it will be an open session. And then, of course, before the Parliament meets and after the Parliament meets, there will be discussions, focused discussions on the formation of the government. The good thing that these discussions the dialogue already started. There is an agreement on certain principles which are very good. I think this is a step forward. I think everybody knows and realizes that everybody needs to reconcile. We have to respect our constitution, although we may have some reservations, but this is the only yardstick we have to make this country back on its feet and to make it working again. And we hope that within 2 months, hopefully we'll have a government well placed in Iraq.
And as you said there, within a couple of months, and you also said as well that the changes that have been made, provisionally made already, are very good. So that what's happened so far you've seen as progress, have you?
The progress I see that everybody believes now because of the results needs to work with everybody else and no room for maneuvering and getting people away. There is also a general consensus that outside interferences are not acceptable anymore in Iraq, and that the Iraqis should be left on their own to decide their own fate. I think also the fact that the American drawdown is starting at some stage is casting a lot of pressure on the various players here in Iraq to start working as fast as they can to have a government in place, because the responsibility ultimately of security, of progress, lies on the Iraqis themselves now. And I think all these areas are now a global understanding, if you like, amongst the Iraqi groups. And this is where we hope that we should work together and compromise and make the necessary compromises to have things working, we hope.
And do you think that there'll be the possibility of you forming a coalition with the Kurds as well? Do you think you'll be successful in prevailing on that?
Yes, absolutely. This is one of our schemes. We are working very hard on this area to get the Kurds in a coalition with us and some other groups. We feel that the Kurds are, again, liberal democratic forces, secular forces, close to our thinking, very close to our thinking. We already have started dismantling the tensions in Mosul between our people and the Kurds, and we are making already a lot of progress in that area. We already are laying down the right atmosphere to create a better understanding on the Kirkuk problem also. So already this is in progress. Before we form the government, this is already in progress. And you can now listen to both the Kurds and the people from Mosul making the right decisions, the right approach, the right reconciliation and compromises to get things ready to work in the future. So already this is working. We are also talking to some Islamists whom we think that we can work with them and they can work with us. What we need ultimately to see a coalition that could work together, that could address the most important issues that Iraq needs to solve and resolve, and to get the country moving. And this is where we hope that we'll be able to do in the near future.
We'll just take a brief break there, and we'll be back together again in just a minute or so. Thank you so much. Carry on in a moment.